how you guys doing? It's your boy Beasley back at it again with another episode in the How To Dynasty series. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how you can replicate this coach build step by step, or mostly step by step for yourself. Obviously, I'm going to be removing the boring parts that you will be doing yourself, but this is going to be me showing you how to make a Thanos coach build where you're going to be like Ash Ketchum out here collecting them all, getting every perk category you can, going as much or as little in each category as your heart desires. So if you learn anything new, be sure to slap a like on this video. Leave a comment down below. What would be your ideal coach build if there was a way to acquire as many perks as you would like? If there was no perk limit, what would you buy? What wouldn't you buy? And also, for the record, I did not come up with this strategy. I watched a different content creator several months ago. I will credit them in the description. I forget the name of the video. I'll find it for then. But I watched how they did this. Now, this exact coach build is my own, but I did watch their video for the strat, so I will give credit there. It is not my strategy. It is just someone else's strat that I then took and made my own little coach build out of. So there you go. And without further ado, let's hop right into it. So for starters, this does work in an online and offline setting. However, I'm pretty sure if you get caught doing this in an online dynasty, you are going to get booted. So I wouldn't recommend that. But technically, the strat we are doing is 100% fair. It'll take you more time and energy in an online dynasty to do it the legit way, but it is technically possible. However, to save yourself hours and hours of time and energy, I would recommend just doing it in an offline dynasty. Also, to kind of make sure the people in your dynasty don't get absolutely, cheesed to oblivion. But hey, you do you. First things first, you have to pick a coach of a team you do not want to play on. So for this, I picked the Gators, my favorite squad. For you, you can pick any team you want, just not the team you're going to be doing this with. So that's the first step one. Step two is going in and to create a new character. If you can see where this is going, shout out to you. And this is where going to be the strat kicks in. Now, I've done this several times. I have about 25 to 30 hours of live stream footage. So if you ever have any questions on what I do like week to week or season to season, because this is a kind of a long process, make sure to go watch those streams. I believe the streams are literally titled like the best coach build in the game or no clickbait or something like that. But the three best teams to do the strat with is Georgia, Ohio State, and Clemson. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to be doing Clemson because it's the exact same path I've already done with Candyman the Fourth. So I'm going to follow what I've already done. But technically, you can do this strat with any pre-built coach as long as they have program builder and CEO. So as you can see right here on your screen, this is going to be basically what we're going to be exploiting to set us up, is going to be the pre-order bonus. No, you don't have to have the pre-order bonus to do this, but like I mentioned earlier, it does take significantly more time to do it the organic, the natural way. But as you can see, we got the pre-order bonus, and bam, this is going to be where the fun stuff begins. But before we get too much into that, I got to explain how all this works. So the first perk we are going to be abusing is going to be Bundle Discount. Bundle Discount is a coach ability that reduces the price by 2 coach points for every coach on you and your staff that has an ability. So, example, if Talent Developer, the base price for Talent Developer is 12 points. As you can, 12 points right there, perfect. If my OC has it, it gets reduced to 10 points. If my DC also has it, it goes from 8 points, or 10 points, to 8 points. So if you have everybody on your staff having the perk, you get about a 35, give or take, % off on the perk, making this significantly cheaper. If you are curious, yes, the cheaper you buy these perks, the more coach points you're going to have. The more coach points you have, obviously, the more perks you can buy down the road. So that's kind of where this strat comes into play. But it's not just bundle discount you need to effectively do this strat. You also need to have inside track maxed out. You need to have friends and family discount. This applies identically like bundle discount does. However, it's not reducing the price of the actual perks. It's reducing the price of the perk categories. So when you buy perks you don't natively have, as I can see, I can show you with Tactician here, because Dabo Sweeney already has Recruiter and already has Motivator, to buy Tactician, this will cost 40 points. And that's on sale because I have a coordinator with Tactician right here and another coordinator with Tactician. So that would be even more expensive if I didn't just buy that perk. We're talking, what, 70? Yeah, I think like 75, 85 points. Things get ridiculously expensive. So you need this perk to also make these other trees buyable. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, you get 1 tree for free when you make your coach. When you buy your first alternate tree, That's also free. And when you buy your third one, it's also free. I think once when you get to the hybrids, though, they do start to cost a little bit of tokens. But I think everyone here could collectively agree you would rather spend like 50 of your coach points to unlock the entire tree than to waste hundreds of coach points just to even have access to the perks. So those two perks are very, very, very important. Next, once when you have those two perks on Dabo Swinney, now begins the boring part. So we want him to have every single perk in the game. Well, how do we do this? Well, let's go ahead and spend our pre-order bonus. As you can see, we have to spend more points in Tactician. I'll just throw these two garbage points here. There you go, bada bing, bada boom. So now we have Tactician. So now we can buy Strategist for 5 points. As you can see right there, that is super duper cheap. Thank you, us. And we cannot buy Architect yet because we don't have the points. This is where the strat / glitch comes into play. All you're going to do is come over here and retire your head coach. You're going to retire Dabo Swinney. And when you do that, it'll kick you back to the original team you were on. You're going to go back to create a new character. You're going to go back to Clemson. And you're going to go back to Dabo Swinney. And as you are going to see, all of the perks that you just bought, that will carry over. And you're going to get another 100 pre-order bonus. And now I'm going to go in here and buy Architect. And just like that, he now has every single perk category in the game. And I'm going to go in and just give him everything I want him to have. So we're going to give him tier 1 through 3 on Talent Developer. We're going to go through, just spend all your tokens. Once when you have no more tokens, again, just rinse, repeat, go into the retire section, click on retire, then retire from college football. It'll kick you back to your original coach and just rinse, repeat. If you do this process at like super max efficiency, you can get Dabo Swinney to have every perk of the game in about an hour. It's a little annoying, but once when you give Dabo Swinney basically every perk you want, because again, you don't have to go like me and go super overboard and give yourself every perk in the game, right? Like, spoiler alert later in the video, but Architect and Strategist are hot garbage. I would advise never buying these two perks, but whatever perks you are doing, whether it's for a challenge run or whatnot, just basically buy Dabo those perks. So for example, we're going to keep going down Talent Developer and I will just buy him all the stuff I want, whether that's 1 through 3, 1 through 4, whatever, just buy Dabo Swinney everything I want. Let's say, for example, I want to go ahead and give Dabo Swinney all tiers 1 through 3 for a regular motivator. I can come in here and buy those as well. And you guys, I'm just going to save you an hour. I'm not going to do this for an hour, but you get the point. Just keep rinse, repeating, retiring, going until you buy every perk in the game you want on Dabo Swinney. Next, once when you have Dabo Swinney completely prepped out and maxed out with every perk in the game, you are then going to go into the defensive coordinator, Tom Allen, and rinse, repeat the exact same thing you just did for Dabo Swinney. Because you need both of these coordinators to have every perk in the game, or at least every perk you want to buy on discount. So we're going to go ahead and buy Motivator. Bam, there you go. We unfortunately cannot buy Architect right now, and we cannot buy Talent Developer because this coordinator does not have it, which then goes into the next hurdle of this challenge. Even after you give Dabo Swinney every perk in the game, and you give Tom Allen every perk he physically can have, you still have to simulate at least 1 year to get him a 2 players in the first round picks to get Talent Developer and 1 more rivalry win. Now, as you guys can see, I have not played any games this season. I don't know if it's a bug, if it's an exploit, I don't know. But for some reason, he starts off with 3 of the 4 Architect wins already for Architect. So I don't know why that works, but that's how it is. But yeah, as you will see, bam, this is supposed to cost me 8 points, but because my head coach has it, it is now 6 points for him. So now we're going to go in and buy Motivator for this guy, spend all of our tokens, and you get the point. Just rinse and repeat. And now that we spent all of our tokens, it works the exact same way for the head coach as it does for the coordinators. Just go retire, go back in, you'll have your tokens again, rinse, repeat. So once when you have Dabo Swinney with every perk in the game that you want, and your DC with every perk in the game that he can get, you're then going to go in and take over the offensive coordinator and simulate the year and do everything you need. Because again, you need 2 first round picks, which I think Clemson has guaranteed, but keep an eye on that. You might have to manually upgrade your players to guarantee that. And then I think if you beat 1 rivalry, you'll have that. So bare minimum, this will take 1 season just to set up, bare minimum. And then going into the next year, this is year 2, after your DC has every perk in the game, your head coach has every perk in the game. Now this is where the custom coach comes in. I'm going to go ahead and give this warning now. I know people are skipping around through this video. They're going to be doing these steps out of order, and people are going to leave comments. I did everything you said and it didn't work. I'm recording this on 12/10/2025. I'm doing this live. I can assure you it works. So we're going to go in and make an actual regular, we'll just make a generic motivator. It doesn't matter what you pick. There we go. I won't even change our name. But people will not do these steps in order. Things will go wrong, and I will receive the obligatory "this didn't work" comment, and I'm going to be like, did you follow the steps? More than likely they didn't. But here's the thing. Once when you have your custom coordinator, once you only do this step when your DC and head coach is prepped. Because if I go in and retire as a custom coordinator, as you guys see on Let's Go over here, if I go and retire him like I did for the regular coaches, the custom coach will just despawn. He will cease to exist. He will go into the ether and it'll reset all of your progress. So you only use your custom coach. There you go, bada bing. Garrett Riley is back in charge. You only do the custom coach part when you're done. When you have everything set up, you have the DC with every perk, the head coach with every perk. This is when you step in. Now, there are several hurdles to doing this challenge, as you saw with my coach Candyman earlier. Shout out to Stream for naming my coach. Stream almost every single day on YouTube, 6 o'clock CST. Tune in. It's a vibe. Anyways, you have to be careful because when you have your coaches with every perk in the game, they're going to be very good coaches. If you do not come into your coach setting or your dynasty settings and turn off coach firing, completely turn it off. Do not put it on or CPU only. Turn this completely off. Because I had runs ruined on my live stream, again, you can go fact check me, where my head coach left early or my DC left early, and the strat does not work. You need both of them on the roster while you're doing this. And from my experience, the highest percentage chance of just stopping them from taking the Georgia job or the Bama job or wherever Dabo always goes or where my DC always goes, just turn coach firing completely off. That will not 100% fix your problem because the other issue you have is if they win too many games and they level up too much, they will go pro. And again, when they leave your team, it doesn't work. So have coach speed on the fastest and have coach firing completely turned off. The next thing you're going to be doing, and again, this is a lot of work, but I promise you the payoff is going to be worth it, is once when you have all that settled, I don't have the screen right here on me. I'm not going to simulate 1 or 2 weeks to get it, but there's going to be a screen where you have your team schedule in front of you. On that team schedule, I highly advise you to just force win all of your games. You get the most amount of coach XP per win, and because your DC as architect and your head coach as architect, your players are going to get the most XP. You're going to get a lot of XP. Just force win all of your games, force win your playoff wins, force win your natties, and once when you have all that done, you're going to be getting so much coach XP that you're going to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tokens that you're going to be able to spend wherever you want on whatever you want. Just to go ahead and show you right here, bada bing, bada boom, bam. As you can see, this was all originally 8 points when we started, and because my head coach has it and my DC has it, now it's costing my current coordinator, the guy we're going to actually be using as a head coach later on, these are now 50% off. So it is a massive cheap price. Now, just to make this video not last 3.5 hours, just imagine doing that for every other single coach perk. But just like how you had to get your DC, talent developer, and architects, you now have to do that same thing. Now, mind you, this is now year 2 of your roster, so it shouldn't be that hard to get talent developer. But there is some strat, there is some meta when you do this. For starters, if you take over as the offensive coordinator right before the week of the recruiting class, you can cheese the system to give yourself a top 5 class in year 1. So basically what I did in my live stream is that I used the regular coordinator all the way up until that week. The week before the National Signing Day happened, I swapped into my custom built coach, and without even actually recruiting for 1 year, I got a top 5 recruiting class. So it was super nice and effective to do that. And then obviously because you're going to be taking over after players get drafted, you actually can't get your talent. I mean, I guess technically if you do it early enough, you can both get talent developer and yeah, I think if you do it properly, you can get talent developer year 1, architect maybe. You have to like fiddle with your schedule to make sure all your rivals are in the right spots. But if you do it properly, as shown in my stream, you can have all the perks done after 2 years. 2 years, have every perk access in the game, and because, again, your DC has everything, your head coach has everything, you can buy them at between 30 and 50% off. So the sky's the limit. You can buy whatever you want. This also includes going up. Now, I can't do it because my coach is brand new, but in the bottom right corner, this also applies the debuff anyways for making things cheaper, applies to buying the next tier. So it applies to just buying the perk and buying the pro or the better version of said perk. So after you spend hours of your life giving Dabo Swinney every perk in the game, giving your DC every perk in the game, you force winning all of your matches, you do every challenge requirement to have everything you need, yada, 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 and just go crazy, buy all your perks, then what? From my experience, and this is from someone who spent way too many hours of their life doing this, I highly advise you to, after you win about 2 or 3 natties, stop winning natties. You want to kind of taper the XP your head coach and your coordinator get because you don't want them to go pro. And when they reach level 100, they will go pro. It's just a matter of time. Now, for me, in my magical run, we got 9 years in. I got very lucky, but I've had runs end 4 years in because my DC leaves, or 6 years in because my head coach leaves. RNG is against you, so you're kind of on a very strict timetable to try to get as much of this done as quickly as humanly possible. And from my experience, losing the natty does help a lot. Now, you are losing a lot of XP, but that does help you a lot to extend the years you have with your coach and coordinator. Or if you don't want to go down that route, the other thing I experimented with during the live stream, and it did work, is always losing your conference championship. Basically, I found out that when you would always lose your conference championship, it would heavily de-incentivize your head coach and or coordinators from leaving. And by doing it that way, you can keep your playoff XP and your national championship XP, but not get overly punished. So just be careful of the games you're forced winning. The faster your coaches level up, the more likely they are to leave. And once when they leave, your strat is cooked. So just keep all that in mind. Now, you could technically, if you don't care about using your custom coach, you could technically just give Dabo Swinney every perk in the game and keep it pushing. But I prefer custom coaches over actual pre-built coaches, in my opinion. But that's just me. The next tip I'm going to give you, just as a recommendation from one bro to another, or if you're a female and watch my audience, to one dude to a dudette, you have to make sure Dabo Swinney and your D coordinator do not exist in your league. You have to. As you could probably guess, yes, it's very overpowered giving yourself every perk in the game. It's more overpowered giving the CPU every perk in the game. Right? If you let Dabo Swinney exist organically in this dynasty after you give him every perk in the game, he is unbeatable. His rosters will be nuts. He is just insane. So what I did is I manually took over Dabo Swinney. I forcefully made him take a lesser job, and I think I threw him at like a 1 or a half-star school. I sent him to the Shadow Realm, never to be seen again, and I did the exact same thing for Tom Allen. Right? I sent them to a 1 or a half-star school and just basically lost all their games. That way I don't have to deal with them ever again. You don't have to do that, but just know when you have 3 coaches in your dynasty that have every perk in the game, along with Kirby Smart, who pretty much also has every perk in the game, it's going to be like the same 4 teams making the natty every year. So just to get as much diversity possible, I would highly advise you just to shadow realm these 2 coaches and not get cucked by them later on. And that's pretty much the strat. Again, I'll show you live just in case I haven't already done it for this video. If you do retire a pre-built coach, it'll go back to the default one. And yeah, it's really simple. It's just a few button clicks, a little bit of planning, a little bit of strategy right there, and the pre-order bonus, and that's pretty much all you need. And this, again, the same strat works without the pre-order bonus. You just have to find a coach with those 2 perks and buy them organically. You won't get as big of a fire sale as doing the pre-order glitch, but you still can do it. So there you go. Back to my Candyman coach. As you guys can see, we're not even max level yet. I'm not even level 100. I'm level 88. I still have 135 tokens to spend. Plenty of room. I got 1 perk in CEO in Lasting Impressions, a amazing perk. I got 1 perk so far in roster retention. I'm probably going to stick my remaining 135 points into these 2 categories. But just to show you, talent developer, I have tiers 1 through 3 on everything. For base recruiter, I have tiers 1 through 2, and 1 through 4 on elite recruiter. For motivator, I have tiers 1 through 3 on everything except for obviously kicker and punter. For architect, I have tiers 1 through 2 on everything, again except for kickers and punters. On tactician, I have tiers 1 through 4 on everything just because it looks pretty cool to have that. Then for strategist, I also have tiers 1 through 2 on everything. Just again, you can do whatever you want with your build, with your cheap, buying everything on discount, yada, yada, yada. just as a recommendation, as someone who's gone in depth, and I have a whole series on my channel where I test these perks, Strategist is garbage. I don't advise this. The best part of Strategist is tier 3. And because I spread myself so thin, I couldn't even buy tier 3. Tier 1 and tier 2 are garbage. Again, I have a whole video covering how garbage they are. It's a negligible bump. Like the coach that has these perks versus the coach that doesn't was like a 2 to 5% bump. It's not worth it. Same thing with Architect. The best part of Architect is tier 3, and you're not buying tier 3. So in my opinion, I would take the hundreds of points in Architect and the hundreds of points I spent in Strategist. Don't buy them, right? I understand it looks pretty having all the fun little infinity stones on your screen, but it's just not working. Even Tactician, also, I don't like this perk in general, right? The +2 points you get for most stats don't matter, right? Like spinning, juking, and ball carrier vision for most QBs just doesn't matter. Why would you buy it? So you could take all of the points, save them from Strategist, save them from Architect, and save them from Tactician, dump them, and buy basically everything I did for Elite Recruiter, buy everything for Talent Developer, buy Master Motivator, right? You can get all of the base Motivator and Master Motivator and pretty much every perk in Program Builder and CEO, and that build alone would probably be insane. But let's say you do like Strategist, you could easily just skimp out on Architect and throw those points into Strategist and vice versa. But that's basically how you do it, and that's basically the build. So be sure to slap a like on this video. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for rocking with me, and I will see you in the next one. Deuces.